Tech. So today we are going to be talking about YGGDRASH. There is plenty of chatter in a lot of the Telegram groups around YGGDRASH, so I thought I would give it a quick review just to give everybody an understanding of what it's all about. So YGGDRASH is a trust-based multi-dimensional blockchain. So what does that actually mean? It basically means that they're providing services such as dApps as well as smart contracts for individuals, industries, corporations and the like. So really the idea here is that they want to go ahead and digitize everything. And by digitizing everything, what we mean by that is that it can be applied to create and connect any assets such as cryptocurrency, real estate, stock market, or even brokerage services. So how are they planning to do this? How does this blockchain differ from what's already out there on the market? So first of all, they have improved data capacity, speed, and expandability. So what do they actually mean by that? Well, basically one of the benefits of this particular blockchain here is that the dApp itself on the YGGDRASH blockchain is actually an independent blockchain. So each dApp is not bound to the aforementioned block, but each dApp maintains a network, governance, database, and services of its own. So that's the beauty of it overall. If we kind of compare that to Ethereum, and if we kind of go back in time to around late November when CryptoKitties came out, well, that dApp completely brought the entire Ethereum network to paralysis, right? Because ultimately it was using the full resources of that actual blockchain. So therefore the dApp's running on the blockchain, it's part of that blockchain, it's all connected as one. Whereas here the idea is that every dApp that's created will actually ultimately fork off and become its own blockchain, but still connected to the master stem, right? So that's basically how they're proposing to provide the improved data capacity, speed, and expandability of the blockchain overall. So the next benefit is zero network fee, reputation scoring. So if we liken this to, say, users of Facebook, right? Under the current blockchain system, should pay in order to push the like button. So the fee here is actually for the transaction, not necessarily for using Facebook, right? So with YGGDRASH, what they're proposing here is that the network fee structure would be adjusted in real time according to the reputation of the users. So those with good reputation would not need to pay for the like button, and so the currency that the blockchain uses here is YGG for that to actually happen, right? So therefore, you know, you can also compare it similar to the rationale that a bank customer might have with high credit score. They pay less fees on transactions, while companies with bold financial structure receive high credit ratings, right? The next benefit they have is downsizing data. So you may have noticed, if you take, for example, Ethereum or Bitcoin, you know, if you actually want to, you know, run a node, for example, you need to download the entire full node of the blockchain, and now that can take, you know, days, hours. They're huge, right? So the idea with YGGDRASH is that it uses something called ASIC records and blockbox to minimize the size of the block's data. So this will significantly reduce the efforts preparing nodes. As we mentioned before, the idea is that they will have a main stem, and then you'll have all these dApps which will operate as independent stems or independent branches of the stems, and therefore ultimately you're not going to be downloading the main stem, you're going to be downloading the node or the dApp that runs on that node for your particular service. So therefore the node is smaller in size, and you're only having to download whatever service it is that you're looking to use. And then the last element they've got here is delegated proof of authority. So the idea here is that YGGDRASH applies the DPoA, agreed algorithms, giving authority to users and operators with high credit scores. So once again, it ties back into the reputation overall. Right, so let's understand how YGGDRASH can change the world. So really the way they look at it is that they want to help build an ecosystem which has a very flexible blockchain, and the idea behind that is that then they can use that to link into cryptocurrencies, real estate, stock markets, corporations, and some of the real world use cases that can be basically derived from the use of this blockchain is fundamentally looking at DEX. Now, in this example, what you can quite see already happening is you have your stem chain, you have your various dApps which then run off the stem chain, and those dApps can then ultimately be created or developed to then start linking in with other blockchains, and therefore providing that atomic swap feature that we've heard being mentioned across other blockchains as well. So that's one way they can use it for the actual real world, decentralized exchange protocols. Now, moving on, if we kind of have a look at exactly what that architecture looks like, and I'm only going to touch briefly on the white paper. It is quite technical and you're more than welcome to go and read in full depth, but just to kind of give you an understanding of how that actual blockchain works in reality, what you have basically is the stem chain. So the stem chain is the main blockchain, which is the root of the YGGDRASH ecosystem, and it's also an aggregate and a blockchain containing the information of all the branch chains. So the stem chain is basically optimized for transaction, processing scalability and expandability by storing only minimal information such as the address of each branch. So in addition, it connects each branch chain by referring the address of each branch chain, and it's able to manage the entirety of that life cycle from creation, modification to ultimately the destruction of the chain. Now, when we talk about the branch chain, which are the elements hanging off, as you can see from the interaction points, a branch chain is basically a dApp. It's an independent blockchain at the same time. So since the branch chain itself is a blockchain, it can easily and naturally select the agreed and desired algorithm and form its own blockchain governance, right? So it eventually reaches the level of a decentralized autonomous organization. Now, that is quite key, because ultimately, as we sort of go back, what this means is those who are then creating dApps of the YGGDRASH ecosystem ultimately have their own blockchain that's running in parallel, but is still part of the ecosystem, but fundamentally is self-governed, and therefore, as mentioned before, it allows that whole interoperability to other blockchains as well. So if a particular dApp is looking to create a connection with Ethereum, connection with, say, Bitcoin, for example, and obviously there needs to be governance around that and agreement on how that happens, but the possibility is there for it to happen. Okay, right, so that's pretty much just really a quick overview of the overall blockchain, how it plans to work, and sort of how they're looking to develop that out. In terms of looking at the team, they are an all-star team, if not an all-star enterprise level team. So you've got the CEO and co-founder, who's also the COO of Coin One. So if you don't know what Coin One is, it's a cryptocurrency exchange. You've got the CTO and founder Peter Ryu, who's Icon Foundation, Icon Coin development team leader. I mean, that just says it all. If you have a look at Icon on CoinMarketCap, you will see that they're doing exceptionally well from ICO. A lot of people made a lot of money on Icon overall. We then move on. We've got John Seo. And once again, he's got a very impressive track record. Ernst & Young Korea, Ernst & Young Shanghai, Hyundai, KPMG. So this guy is from a pure consultancy background. We've also got their blockchain analyst, who's also the information security team leader at BitThumb. Once again, another exchange. Okay, so these guys really know what they're doing. The individuals are from successful blockchain projects. Moving down, we've got the blockchain engineer, so Bluepan, Loop Story, Nexon. These guys are an all-star team. They know what they're doing. They've got the relevant experience within that space. And it's a decent sized team. It's not 2 or 3 people. They have a number of individuals working across all the various areas that you need in order to succeed. Moving on, they also have a number of advisors. We've got the vice president of Hyundai. We've got the CEO of Lately Korea Incorporated. Once again, these guys are at the top of their game. They may not be blockchain experts from an advisory perspective, but they certainly hold positions of influence within their organizations as a whole. And that's what matters. At the end of the day, the advisors, as I've said before, they come on board not only to help the projects where they might have had issues before in the past, but also to act as a way to open doors for the projects. You know, they advise, they help partnerships grow, and that's what's really key here. Even though the advisors don't have significant experience in blockchain, certainly the team do as a whole, and that is completely fine. And these guys are at the top of their game and able to sort of help really grow that organization and take it to the next level. Now, let's look at the roadmap. So in terms of the roadmap, we are coming up to March. So really we're sort of getting ready for the pre-ICO launch. And then really the next major milestone is going to be Q3. Now that's a bit of a wait. Q3 is when they're looking to release their testnet, and then Q2 next year is when they're looking to release their mainnet. So, you know, there is a bit of a wait. These blockchain projects certainly do take a bit of time to deliver, but given though that the roadmap is quite some time in the future, I certainly am quite bullish on this particular project. And really, if you're looking for a quick flip, I don't think you're going to get it from this project, but certainly if you're looking to hold longer term, this will definitely release up dividends in the long run. So even though the roadmap is quite far away, I don't really have any doubt in the team behind it to be able to deliver this. Now, moving on, the last bits that I want to kind of look at in terms of hype, or awareness as we want to call it. So looking at Twitter overall, they have around 1,810 followers. I've been looking at the Telegram group, which is somewhere in the region of 6,656 members. So now that is the number of members they've had. The Telegram group has only been active for about a week. So ramping up to the actual pre-sale date, I have no doubt that other YouTubers will certainly be, I don't want to say promoting, but discussing this particular project, which will certainly drive further awareness. In terms of token distribution, so the private sale has concluded on the 25th of Feb. I was in the Telegram group earlier trying to understand exactly how much was sold through private sale. They haven't disclosed that yet. I think they're still counting up the funds. It's only been a couple of days since that's happened, so that's fine. We've got the pre-sale starting on the 12th of March, running through to 16th of March. The price of each of the YGGDRASH tokens are just under a cent. The total supply is going to be 10 billion tokens, and for sale we've got 50% at 5 billion. So I like that. I like the figure. You know, the token metrics as a whole look very good overall. Hard cap 40 million. Yeah, the hard cap's slightly on the higher side. Certainly a lot of the recent ICOs have been around the 30 mark, maybe a bit below, a little bit up. But you know, this is a blockchain after all, and most of the blockchains do tend to demand slightly a bit more. So, and I think that's fine in this case as well. But once again, the key element here is to understand what the caps are going to be, okay? And also it appears that there is a minimum Ethereum contribution of 1 Ethereum in terms of participating in the pre-sale as well as the main sale. Now I've also been told that there are no bonuses in the pre-sale or the main sale. It's exactly the same in terms of the token price. However, those who have participated in the private sale have had up to a 15% discount. So overall, I'm quite happy with the token metrics in terms of what's been presented so far. I guess we'll just have to wait until the 12th and 16th, between the 12th and 16th of March, to actually really understand what that means in terms of you as a consumer, and actually how much is really available for sale, as they haven't disclosed how much has been raised to date in the private sale. You know, this will be a very popular project. Those who have been following similar blockchains, those who have invested in IconX, they will certainly recognize members of the team and realize that, you know, there is a team behind this project that can certainly deliver. I like to use a radar chart in my reviews. It just gives me a much more visual representation of what the team needs to do and where they need to improve in order to become an all-star team, but more importantly in order to become an all-star project and actually deliver on what they're promising. So in terms of the project, I've given it a 4. Certainly an ambitious project. I really like the idea of having the center stem blockchain and then having all the various sub-chains or branch chains coming off the stem, and then those actually acting as an independent blockchain in parallel. Certainly I can see the benefits in comparison to what's already out there, not having to download the full node. It'll be faster, you'll be able to create dApps which then will interact with other blockchains. So that, I think, is a great idea, and certainly I would like to see that come to fruition. The team, as you can see, the team is an all-star team. They have a deep history in blockchain. They are from a number of successful previous projects within the crypto space as well. Advisors, I've given it a 4. Once again, they're all at the top of their game. They're all from very large organizations, and I seriously see them helping them in terms of opening up partnerships and getting that project much more visibility. In terms of token metrics, I've given it a 4. I'm quite happy with the token metrics. It's a decent size, it's a decent cap given the project. The tokens, yes, they are quite on the high side in terms of supply, 10 billion, but really when you look at it in terms of comparison to the overall hard cap, 40 million is not too much in terms of asking for a blockchain project. Prototype, I've given it a 0. I haven't seen any demos, I haven't heard of any demos. Their testnet is still yet to come out, and we're some way off for that. It certainly would have helped, I think, if they had a prototype to show some of the work that's in progress. In terms of hype, it is still early days. I've given it a 3 for the time being, and I am almost certainly sure as we get closer to that 12th of March pre-sale date that the hype for this will certainly increase. The Twitter followers, the Telegram group followers, I'm sure they will grease and give them the hype that it actually deserves. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the overview. Please give it a like if you liked it. If you disliked it, please leave a comment below. Let me know what it is that didn't quite work, what I can do to improve in my next video. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you in the next episode.